Daisy Stocking Park is at 555 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard in Daytona Beach. We'll see you there.
We might not have a couch yet, but we got internet.
Don't tell Mom.
Smooth.
Your new home deserves Xfinity Internet. Get a fast, reliable connection.
clock on the wall, it's 2:30. Let's get this meeting to order. A roll call, please.
Mr. George?
Here.
Ms. Barhoot?
Here.
Mr. Connors?
Here.
Chairman Betts?
Yes, I'm here. You. First, we'll have introduction of staff. We have Ms. Melissa Phillips here, our development review technician, Mr. David Russell, our attorney, assistant city attorney, and Becky Grimm, our secretary. IT department behind the wall there, recording this meeting, and then we have our police officer here, just order, in case anybody gets out of order. Let's move on to approval of minutes. I had a chance to review the minutes. On my desk was a change at the end, number 7, under new business. They had Mr. Connors instead of Mr. George being elected as vice chair, but on that. Anybody have any other amendments? Motion to approve.
I move.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Onward, we have new cases today. Case A, a property located on Francis Terrace. Ms. Grimm, would you like to read it into the record, please?
Sure. BOA 2024-004, variances from Article 4, Section 42B of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code. A request by Sandra and Evan Cross for variances from Article 4, Section 42B of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code for a single-family residential structure to reduce the required minimum front yard setback from 30 feet to 10 feet, and to reduce the required minimum rear yard setback from 25 feet to 5 feet. This variance will allow a single-family structure to be constructed on this vacant non-conforming parcel with reduced front and rear yard setbacks. Property is located on Francis Terrace, parcel ID 530915010229.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grimm. And are the property owners or representatives here tonight? Yes. Come on up and state your name and address for the record, if you would, please. And you're happy to listen to what you have to say and go over your application with you.
Sandra and Evan Cross. We own a vacant lot on Francis Terrace. We have, our home is in Wyoming, but we wanted to build a home here.
And we have a packet of information that you submitted.
Yes.
And showing the site plan, and showing everything with regard to the proposed setbacks and everything you are trying to make the house fit. And also showing that the need for the variances. That's all you have for right now? Any questions? Board have any questions for the applicant? We'll get to the crowd in a minute.
Yes, I have a question. So, as far as the front variance goes, you're reducing it down significant, right?
Yes,
And that's as a result of you putting a single-family dwelling on it?
yes.
A 25 by 40,
I'm
a
sorry.
24 by 40
I
home.
think,
Okay,
with the deck.
so that would be, in order to build that size of a house.
Right.
You need that variance.
Right.
I didn't look at the property other than from an old Google shot. Is there a pathway or a sidewalk in front of your property?
No. Well, there's a grassy area between the street and
The path? but
Yeah.
There's no sidewalk from.
no
that-
sidewalk or no,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members?
So is the front of the house gonna face, terrace?
basically, the front of the house will face the.
The roadway,
Actually, the front of the house will face the ocean, so
Oh,
I mean, that'll be the front living room and whatnot, but the entrance will be from Indian Care. I mean from, that's another address, from Francis Terrace.
Yeah, that's why the front setbacks are off of Francis.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we have plenty of room side to side, just not,
Right.
it's just, we're only,
You're only 50 feet deep.
Right,
And it's hard
right.
to meet
right,
a setback of 25 to the rear and 30 to the front.
right. It's not gonna work, right?
Lot, yes. So some sort of variance would need to be done to have a house. And the neighborhood's full of single-family houses. You're right on the edge of where commercial sort of
Yes.
is. You're North Atlantic, towards North Atlantic. Are any of the remaining, there's buildings on the property, any of those, are they all gonna be disappeared?
We are in the process of tearing them down as we speak.
I
We've
saw
got,
that
yeah. We'll take, basically, when we leave here to head back to Wyoming, the lot will be bare.
There, yeah.
And how long do you think you'd be starting the home?
Well, we have to apply for permits. and
Not
parents.
100% sure about that. We're not sure how all the permitting
Okay.
works, but hopefully fairly soon, you know.
We'd like to make it our winter home, you know, and then summer in Wyoming and
And you have parking underneath and 2 stories above that, or?
Yes, that's what we
Okay.
plan, yes.
And you'll meet the height requirement?
Yes, 35 feet as I understand.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
With the recent emphasis on the state level, I guess I have a question from, it would be a planning board question now, is are there any plans, strategic plans talking about walkways going in this section of Daytona as opposed to walking on the road?
I'm not aware of any off the top of my head. It's something I have to look into further if it's a concern for the board. But
I don't think it would matter, I'm just posing that as a question, because if they do come through, there seems to be an issue coming from what I understand, the state, that's coming down to the counties about walking on roads versus walking on sidewalks.
Right.
To reduce the number of fatalities that occur, so.
I think that would, you know, the sidewalks will affect a lot of residents
everybody
on that
across.
road.
And there aren't any sidewalks
Yeah, I noticed that.
on Francis.
And I even went, as you go back a couple of blocks, there's not, but I don't know. I'm fine.
We're asking for the setbacks from our surveyed property line, not from the road, of
Right.
course, you know.
Right. Okay. No other questions from the board. If anybody else in the residence want to speak to this matter, either for or against?
Yes.
Okay, come on up. Thank you very much. When I get back to you.
I bought my house.
With your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Name is Virgil Adkins. Address is 516 Francis Terrace.
Okay, Francis. Or Virgil. Sorry.
When I bought my house, it was just a parking lot there on one side, the right side of it. And then Francis went down right in front of my house. And over here, there was another house, it pretty good distance away. And I could see the beach, the water and everything. And I put a privacy fence up and I put 2 porters in so my wife could open the porters up and look at the ocean. And I don't want a house right next to me looking down on me in my yard. That's why I put the privacy fence up. And I paid good money for that house. And I just don't see how they can get a variance to come right up next to my house when it would, that was, I guess it was zoned commercial because it was a parking lot, not a house, no house on it. Had 2 sheds on it and a car payment.
Yeah, just let him, go ahead.
Had 2 sheds on it and a carport. That's it.
Okay. Now, thank you. First of all, let's get with the zoning, what the zoning of the property is, Ms.
So the property was illegally used as a parking lot. That person that was using the property there, it has been single family all along. It was never commercial. And it was being illegally used as a parking lot. The person that owned this property that was illegally using it sold it to the Crosses with the expectation that they could build either a duplex or a parking lot there and use it for storage of boats or trailers or whatever. I had had telephone conversations with that property owner before they ever bought it. He knew that he couldn't do what he was doing there, and he knew that if he sold it, they wouldn't be able to do what he was telling them they could. The property is SFR 5. That zoning district does allow for any home to be built at a height of maximum 35 feet.
So in other words, they can build a house there and look right down in my yard. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
They can build a house up to 35 feet in height. That's to the ridge of the, is that to the ridge of the house?
For a regular hip roof.
That's not for a
the
two-story though.
medium- I'm sorry.
That's not for a two-story though. That's just for
The
ranch
height-
style.
The height is taken, the 35 feet height is taken from the grade, which is the general grade of the property, up to the middle of the roof, if it's a pitched roof. So from the ground to 35 feet there.
But,
And that's with any property
okay,
in
but
the
is
SFR
that,
zoning district.
okay, but is that a two-story or a ranch style?
Generally, you can get away with 3 stories with 35 feet of height.
Yeah.
If you have 8-foot ceilings, you can generally get away with 3 stories of height.
So in other words, I don't have say-so.
So the zoning does allow for what they are asking to do in terms of height and putting in a single-family structure. What we're reviewing is whether or not they can go beyond the setback requirements of the front and the rear.
Okay,
Now,
When that-
have you seen the plot plan for the house? The house
I
is
got it.
proposed to be
no,
towards
not
the
the,
east side of the
no,
lot.
only thing I got is the front and back. And when I bought my house, I needed to put a shed behind my house, and they said, can't get a variance because you gotta have so many feet here, so many feet here.
Right, and that, you could apply for a variance like they have for their house, but you can't just automatically put one in and then setback.
All that's to say, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's next?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary Sereno Atkinson. I'm representing several different properties, including directly across the street from this property, the second door down, and the 2 properties adjoining the second door down, being 500 Francis Terrace, 502 Francis Terrace, 506 Francis Terrace, and 529, we are the mortgage holder. In addition, I have power of attorney to represent David Higgum at 920 North Grandview, which is the corner of Francis and Grandview Avenue. We are well under the 150-foot parameter of being notified for this meeting and what have you. Only 2 days ago was I notified of any of this, and that was by my next door neighbors, who finally seen a sign placed on the fence. It's my understanding it was there and bent over from the wind and was recently placed on the fence at this property. I'm not saying that we oppose anything or we don't, but I feel, number one, we should have been notified. As your records will reflect, my next door neighbor, Mr. Higgum, was required to send out over 60 letters, over $400 postage, including to the next block. Excuse me, 1 second. Why was none of our corporations or myself or my son, who also lives there and owns a property there, 2 doors away, not notified of any of this so we could make a decision and come well prepared? Likewise, I want to add, my family trust, which this young man owns, is the previous owner of this property. And Ms. Phillips did speak with me and my adult son, Luke. The information she's giving was given to us on a conference call after the fact that they purchased the property. The contract was already signed to purchase it from us, and we did not, to correct Ms. Phillips, misrepresent anything. We have a realtor, Joseph Tavolacci Real Estate, who listed this property. I was in intensive care in the hospital. My sons had him listed, do the research on it. Furthermore, the property owners now had a separate realtor, and it's on them to do their due diligence, and it says so in the purchase papers. So no, we did not misrepresent anything. I'm sorry, that's what the board was told. We did not. That's the realtor's job. Under Florida statutes, I'm sure for their license, they have to verify all of this information. We didn't say they could build anything. At this point, the Gary D. Sereno Atkinson Family Trust, Phoenix Investment Partners LLC, the Patel family, me as the mortgage holder, and Mr. David Higgum all opposed us and pending further information. And my current residence address is 500 Francis Terrace. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? You're welcome to speak. What's your name?
My name's Alex Atkinson, and I live at 502 Francis Terrace. I do not oppose or not opposed to this. I just was not let aware of this, so I'm just curious what's being built there.
We have information in our packet that letters were created for notifications. Let's have the property owner, if you could come up and let's talk about notifications. Please.
I'm a resident.
Hey, you can come in.
I'm David Fritz. I'm at 420 Francis Terrace. The sign went up, maybe 2 weeks ago that I saw it first. As of lately, no other notification, none. I hadn't seen it before, you know. First thing, yeah, okay, if it's legal to be, I've been here 30 years. That's always been a parking lot. It had some sheds on it. They've had cars or boats in it, whatever. The whole, section adjoining to it was been parking, still is pretty much. Yes, they're stripping it down. As last couple of days, it's been cleared down. The big posts have been taken out. The fencing has been rusted, is coming out. Yeah, it'd be nice to have sidewalks in my neighborhood. We don't. A couple of streets either way, you can go over and get sidewalks. So in the future, yeah, sure. So a setback like that, yeah, would eliminate the possibility of the sidewalk. However, if you looked at the map, Google, a lot of houses on that block are on half lot. They've already been given setbacks. I'm not crazy about it. I'd like to have the setbacks for retention, water, flooding. I know the neighborhood. We need more retention, runoff. It absorbs good. But 35 feet, yeah, it's going to be looking down just about every house in the neighborhood from that location. It's going to be above us. Runoff, hope they do take some, count for that much extra coverage. That's why we have the setbacks. Absorb this runoff. You're going to put that much more concrete, but it's always been concrete, or pavement. So can't really argue runoff on that point because it's already been a pain. So that's pretty much what I think of it. Notifications, I haven't seen any. Neighbors hadn't heard nothing. So, yeah. Been one other places. Recently, they redid over 1 street over on Eastwood. They allowed that monstrosity 2-story go up for rental. Yeah. Oh, I just don't walk by it in the morning. You smell the mold. That place has been vacant for years, a party house when it was. So, they allowed variance right out to the edge, and cars were parked anywhere and everywhere. I think the city required them to put a curb in to keep them from parking in the yard. Well, that didn't stop it. So yeah, consider that in your variance. Where they're going to put the cars? They said parking underneath. Yeah, they're going to be 35 feet. Good. The neighborhood could use an upgrade. If it's a fine structure, withstand the hurricane codes. Legally, it sounds like got no standing on it. However, the setback. But, according to Daytona, half the houses on that block already been set back. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We take into account a lot of things when we make our decisions too. Your input is helpful. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Notification.
Thank you. Yeah.
I need to put on record that I provided the applicants with a list of all the property owners within 150 feet of this property. I received that list from the Volusia County Property Appraisers page. They provided me with a photograph of all the envelopes stamped and ready to go, addressed to all of these people, and they also signed an affidavit stating that they mailed these. I know the placard was placed on the property on the Thursday. It was due on Monday. I think we placed it on Thursday because one of my inspectors actually placed it there and took pictures of it, which are in your documents. So this is required to be mailed out within 10 days before the meeting. So as long as they put it in the mail, they've done their due diligence or what they're supposed to do. You can't control what the mail does.
And Mr. Chair, I might suggest taking evidence from the applicant regarding what action they took to provide
Yes.
this.
I'd like the applicant to come up, please. So you've signed affidavits saying that these letters went out.
Absolutely.
We'd like your testimony right now. If you
They
tell us
absolutely-
that they went out in a timely fashion for the requirements.
They absolutely went out. Sandy took them to the mail herself.
Mhm.
And I don't believe Gary's name was on the mailing list that we received.
When I took the picture, that was the night before, and I mailed those the next morning.
Which is actually 2 or 3 days early
Yeah,
from the,
because it had to be
Deadline.
done by Monday, and I know I did that
Made
on
on
Thursday or
Thursday.
Friday, the week before.
Okay. All right, thank you.
and
You're
I,
welcome.
I would also like to say if I
And
can,
if you'd like to rebut anything that anybody else has said, you now have the chance.
Go ahead. You can,
everything that we want to do, we are planning to make the lot better. We're not making it worse. I mean, I don't think our 35-foot house, we're putting it as far as we can away from the neighbor's house. I don't think it's probably even in their line of view of where their ocean view is. I could be wrong, but I don't think with the way the lot's facing and everything, I don't think we're going to obstruct their line of view. And we intend to build a nice home and make the neighborhood nicer, not worse. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
and hopefully this will stop the vagrants and everyone that's using the lot at night and vandalizing and that kind of stuff, if there's a structure there with cameras and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, any of the board have questions of anybody who spoke?
I have a question actually for Missy. So this area is zoned for 35-foot homes.
Correct.
I'm just clearing that up. Thank you.
Yes, sir, we'll go ahead.
Again, Gary Sereno Atkinson. I want to add for the record, twice I've received, as the owner of this property many years ago, I've lived on that street 38 years in the same residence, owned this property for over 20 that's in question. I received a certified letter from, I believe it to be code enforcement at the time, that the two garages, as I call them, sheds, what have you, needed to be torn down because they were not permitted. Board, I submitted the original 1979 building permit, as well as the 1980, that was for the blacktop, correction, that's the blacktop, 1980 for the vinyl siding company who constructed those buildings. We purchased the property from attorney Nick George, late attorney Nick George, and in the state. Those were contained in the folder, not once, twice. As to Ms. Phillips' statement about it was illegally used. At that time, the ladies behind the counter and permits advised me that the computer does not go back that far. and that she had taken care of it. I then received a letter from Codes and Permits with an apology telling me I did not have to remove the sheds. I had forgotten that earlier, but I do still have the original building permits. They're yellowed, but I have them. And again, I'm just trying to clarify that because it was always zoned residential. I didn't know that when I bought it, same as the other gentleman just testified.
You agree it's zone residential?
At this point, my realtor advised me when I got out of the hospital, yeah, but we thought it was commercial or we probably wouldn't have bought it because of the value.
Gotcha.
So, thank you.
All right. Yes.
May I ask Mr. and Mrs. Frost?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please. You have to be on the mic, I'm sorry. At this moment in time, I know you have plans on building the house. Are those plans locked in stone as far as the time frame's concerned, or are there openings for that?
No, there's openings. We were afraid to contact any contractors or anything like that until we had our variances to know that we could proceed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
If
We
you know,
didn't put-
if you know what I mean, you know.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Is that it?
One step at a time, I understand. That's fine. We're young.
I just have one further question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have memory loss and I forgot it.
Could you get to the mic, because we do record
Yes,
this,
sir.
I'm sorry, I understand you.
I'm sorry, I just had one other question I forgot earlier. I do trust Mr. and Mrs. Cross's statement about our trust, the Gary D. Sereno Atkinson Family Trust. Probably was not on their mailing list. I don't think they would just make that up, but I would ask the board, why wasn't we? We're well within the 150 foot.
What's your address again?
500.
For that company, for your trust?
I'm sorry, sir.
What is the address for the trust?
500 and 502 Francis Terrace, which would be the second
Be
door.
down at the corner of Grand.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you see this map, we can show you the outline of the properties within 150 feet, correct, Missy?
Correct.
We do this map on the GIS. If you want to grab mine, you can. Come on up and get it. And this is how we identify the properties that are to be mailed letters,
Yeah, 502
Okay.
on there.
and yours was not within that area.
We're certainly within the 150 feet.
Yeah, that border outlines the area in which 150 feet is. drawn.
Not to mention, so is our 529 and our 506, which is Phoenix, our Phoenix Investment Partners
Those are on
LLC.
there. Both of those are on there.
Yeah, thank you. I was just curious why none of my properties,
You're welcome to keep that.
none of them, and one's right across the street, was notified. In fact, the only one, I think Mr. Atkins can advise,
He did get one.
I was gonna say on the entire street, from Grandview to South Atlantic that received it at this point is Mr. Atkins, and he just got his, is what he's advising me. So I'm not saying they did not send them board. I realize they're coming from
Can I see
Wyoming,
your notice, please?
but I think we should have been, before we even talked with you folks, we should have been notified. Again, I have multiple properties and one right directly across the street. Thank you.
I was trying to see the date on which it was postmarked.
Postmark on that?
Yeah, May 2nd is what it looks like. Yeah. This is postmarked May 2nd.
That's our
So-
postal service for you.
Exactly, and, you know,
But we
yeah,
can't invest.
yeah, professionally, I was in planning and zoning for many years, ran, did, a lot of times you have to rely on postal service to try to get notifications. I mean, that's all we can do, and assignment, right? Unless a property owner's gonna go around and talk to all the neighbors, which is what,
why the sign goes up there also for notification in addition to the letters. And I understand that even though there may be some misunderstanding as far as your experience with the city and what happened back then, that really doesn't have anything to do with our decision up here, as far as the variances and stuff. So that's not really even going to be, it's not a consideration for us,
Yeah.
but the issues that you had and stuff.
And another thing, you don't have our packet. Our packet also includes a site plan that they put together showing where the placement of the house will be. Now, this is part of the record, and this is where, when they do submit for a building permit, that the house will have to go.
That was my next statement. We've
Right.
seen the sign, but there's no information on the
Right.
sign,
If
and
it
I do
changes-
agree it was put there
If it changes
Thursday.
from this, then we would have to have them come back and the information. So,
Can I see that?
you're welcome to see mine.
Thank you. That was my point, what you
Yeah,
just stated,
but I
Mr.
don't-
Messrs. We have nothing. The sign doesn't show a drawing, nothing.
And Mr. Chair, if I may add, there's been a number of people here that have expressed concerns about satisfaction of the notice requirements, but they haven't requested a specific remedy from this board for that. I don't know if they're seeking additional time or what. They could clarify what they're asking for. The board could take appropriate action at that point.
That's a good idea. Thank you, and we always like our attorneys giving us recommendations. Would the applicants have an opportunity to maybe table this for our next meeting in another month to make the final decision? We do have time under our requirements to be able to table it ourselves, but we would like you to come up
And I want to hear from them.
and let us know.
Well, to answer your question, we drove 2,000 miles to get here for this meeting.
I got you.
So we would prefer, of course, that it's settled on today, but not saying that I don't really know for sure what Gary's asking for. I think that he's out of the mailing deal, or we would have got a deal to mail to him. And
We're not opposed,
I would
to
rather it would
delay
happen
it.
today, but if it has to wait another month, then we'll do whatever
Or
we.
we can wait to a convenient time that you decide.
Yeah, well, it's hard for us to make plans to go forward without.
understand. Let's go ahead and, the neighbors, I got a question for you here. I know you're looking at maybe, something's gonna happen on this property. You can have the right to build a house, whether it's, garage parking underneath is probably a good idea based on things, in the world and hurricanes and everything. Second story, you're gonna have a peak roof maybe after that, even with one story. They desire another story, which can be within the guidelines of our zoning code. I mean, with the property being proposed with a house on the east side, towards the east side of the lot, what is it exactly maybe that you would look for?
You're saying the house on the east side of the lot, towards the beach?
Towards the beach, so the side of the lot.
Because we're just here regarding the setbacks. We can't determine the height of the house. It's already set in stone that it can go up to 35 feet. So that's not going to change, even if we do postpone the date as far as making a decision. The decision that we're going to make is going to be made on the setbacks. It's not going to change the building going
Yeah,
up.
and there's some hardship on the property I see that, exists, that has given other lots on the property for houses, that this should be able to build a house on this property somehow. And they've asked for reasonable setbacks that are similar to that which is in the neighborhood. Go ahead.
Mr. Betts, I'm simply asking for a continuance to give us time for all of our multiple properties, which we have over $2 million in properties invested in that block. We're just asking for time to review the information the board gave us with our board of directors, the trustee, co-trustee, what have you, because again, we were just made aware of this, as Mr. Atkinson will testify yesterday.
I got you.
I do concur with Ms. Phillips. The sign was placed there a few days ago. I don't know who placed it there. Mr. Higgum, David Higgum, is my neighbor who walks up and down for his exercise, did call me and say it was placed there, so I do concur with her. However, that is not, the last time I read the code, that is not the appropriate notification. And I'm just asking for that to give us time to look at it. I'm not saying that we don't want a home there. I think it would benefit all of us. I do not agree with the setbacks. The reason I don't agree with it, if Mr. Phillip, or excuse me, Mr. Russell would research it, there's been multiple civil lawsuits over this happening once before on Mr. Atkins' home and Mr. Troop's home right next door to him from the late Juan Q. Hernandez seeking and getting a variance. As far as encroachment, and I mean several. For the one guy's patio was on the other guy's property because the city granted a variance, and when he was given the property appraiser, you look it up and it showed his patio was on his property within the boundaries of the lines, but when he got a survey, one corner of, and I'm just terribly afraid that's what's gonna happen with either his property or my property in the future, maybe not with the Cross family. And that isn't what happened with those two, including his home. It was the purchasers who bought them later. So,
And what years about was that?
2007 forward. That's when they were constructed, is my understanding. And that's, I'm just simply asking for time to review the thing so we can make an educated decision because we weren't notified. Thank you.
Attorney Russell, will that make a difference in the decisions that we need to make based on the rules or whatever, which way it was going in 2007?
I'm concerned about the allegation that the notice requirements weren't satisfied. You have evidence from which you could consider that they have been. Ultimately, it's up to the board whether you wish to grant the request for continuance of this matter. Obviously, the gentleman was notified with time to appear today. I understand that he feels he hadn't had adequate time to review what's being proposed here. But ultimately, it's within the board's discretion to either grant that continuance or deny it and rule on the application today.
Okay. We got one more comment we're gonna take and then we'll be there.
David Fritz again. My basic comment is, piece of property was that size. You bought it, you knew what size it was, make the building fit. Why should the variances have to, property fit the building? No, 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 no. 24 by 40, that's a very big structure. Make the house fit. I mean, how many times you see in the paper the other day, a house 10 foot wide, sold for $1 million, but it's only 10 foot wide. Why does the house have to be 24 by 40? Make the structure fit. You bought it, that's what it was.
May I respond to that? So the property width, or I'm sorry, the property depth is 50 feet. The front setback is 30. The rear setback is 25. So there's no way to put anything on this property without variances. There is no way to make something fit meeting the setbacks.
Due diligence. When I buy property, I research it before I bought it. I make sure I had permits for anything that was done on that property. Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
We're done.
Before.
We understand. We understand. She's just clarifying. Okay, does the board have a suggestion?
Comments, I'm satisfied with the notice that we sent out based on the postmark on the letter May 2nd and the fact that posted the signs out in a timely manner. I'm satisfied that proper notifications were made. They have to come back a month later would be a hardship for the property owners who are trying to do the right thing. It seems they'll so far have done the right thing and go through the process.
I agree with him. No.
So the other building setbacks are there, right? There's other setbacks that were approved on that lot.
I think most of the structures that are there have been there for quite a while. Because I know some of them are duplexes, which isn't a permitted use in that zoning district at this time. So I think most of the structures that are on that block, I believe, have been there for quite a while.
Okay.
And I don't think any of them, and I can't swear to this because I haven't looked at it in a while, but I don't know that any of them meet the 25 or 30-foot front setback and the 25-foot rear setback. Because they're all right in that area, they're long shallow.
I understand.
I'm just looking at aerial photos, so I can make sure that what I saw today. As we look at variances, we look at hardship and other issues related to properties as to whether or not they're providing a reasonable development of the property based on the setbacks that are given to it, and whether or not these setbacks are creating somewhat of a hardship. And really, the setbacks that are on the zoning aren't fitting the lots in that area at all. And that happens a lot. That's why the board's here to get variance requests. In this case, I think they've proven by no doubt, proven the notification issue based on the date on that letter that it was postmarked, and the sign being put up. Right now, they're proposing a house towards the west side of the lot. That is probably going to help with you being able to see from the neighbors next door towards the ocean. So, and again, and I think that waiting for another meeting would just be repeating our review of this. I don't think any new issues. So, board has.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, I might suggest a motion from the board on regarding the approval of his request for continuance, and then a vote on that before you take a vote on the actual application itself.
Okay. There has been a request for continuance by adjacent property. Can we have a motion to that effect? For continuance to the next month?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, and when you make a motion, it's
In the affirmative.
To a positive.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the continuance of case BOA 2024-004 until the next meeting of the Board of Adjustment.
Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Barhoot?
No.
Mr. Connors?
No.
Mr. George?
No.
Chairman Betts?
No. Okay, is there a motion on the application itself?
I'll follow up with a motion to accept as submitted BOA 2024-004 proposed variance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Barhoot?
Yes.
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Chairman Betts?
Yes. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. And,
You just spoke to, okay, or just spoke to look at it?
we approved it.
You approved the variance.
Yes. Now they can go on and design their home, fitting in what we have submitted
Okay.
here.
Yes, they did.
And my recommendations is for the neighbors to talk to each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, move on, case B. On Bellevue Avenue.
BOA 2024-005, variance from Article 6, Section 6.10 of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code. A request by Jessica Gow of Cobb Cole Law Office on behalf of Daytona 634 Development for a variance from the Hillwood Plan District Agreement in Article 6, Section 6.10.1, or is that point J? Point J, point 7, point A, point I of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code to increase the maximum allowable wall signage from 200 square feet per parcel to 460 square feet. This will allow 460 square feet of wall signage on this parcel. Property is located at 2519 Bellevue Avenue, parcel ID 526-00000150.
Thank you. Is there a representative of the applicant here?
Hi, Alana Smith with Cobb Cole Law Firm, 1 Daytona Boulevard. And I'm really just here I can introduce the variance request to you guys and ask any questions that you may have. So the project's currently being developed as an Amazon fulfillment center, which is essentially just the Amazon warehouse. And the property is a part of the Hillwood PD, which follows the business district sign schedule that provides for a maximum wall sign area of 200 square feet. And as of right now, there are 2 proposed wall signs on the south facade of the building that are factored into the square footage calculation. One of them is sort of a smaller Amazon Smile sign that is 130 square feet. And then there's the larger Amazon Smile that includes their corporate logo, and that's 330 square feet. So we're requesting a variance to increase the maximum wall sign area from that 200 square foot requirement to 460 square feet.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter?
Yes, I have a question. What is driving the importance of enlarging the sign when it's really, there's not a customer base coming in and out of there? It's guys and gals who drive the trucks.
I think part of it, Amazon, it's corporate branding requirements, but as well, the building itself is 2 million square foot. So if you want to have signs, they do sort of have to be pretty large to make the sign worth it at all. So, there's really only 2 signs on that south facade, but yeah, I think part of the reason, identification, and then, of course, corporate branding.
Okay.
Proportionate too, it seems like it would.
Yeah, it is. It's all about just being proportionate. And I do want to note, oh, sorry, were you saying something?
No, it's
Oh.
just proportionate, the sign is compared to the size of the building there.
Yeah, the same thing happened with the Karis site across the street. I believe they got a variance to have the sign be 25% of the facade because everyone sort of recognized, okay, this is a huge industrial building, and the code puts them to the same requirements as a commercial building, which is a lot smaller. So I think everyone sort of recognized the code's not really accounting for these big industrial buildings when it imposes those sign requirements.
So this is going on the north facade?
South. I think it's north. I want to say it was north it looks north on the plans. I think I read when I was going through this,
okay.
but it's on the south facade.
Not towards the airport, but.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where the main entrance drive is. Yeah.
Yes.
The freeway.
Probably seen from the freeway. We previously saw an application for a ground sign. Not that that matters. Any other questions? This is quite far back on the road. Oh.
Yes.
Hello, will this be seen from the freeway, Missy?
I believe it will be, but I can't swear to that.
I'm not
It's
often
been a long
on
time
95
since I
north
looked
to
at
see.
this project
Yeah.
as far as the building placement. If you look at page 6 in your package, it shows the aerial views of the structure
Oh, gotcha.
with I-4 and 95.
It's gonna be interesting.
I don't think that's,
It's
it
quite a
looks
ways.
like it's
It's
facing
far.
the airport.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
If the orientation of the building is facing Bellevue and not 95, that the signage will actually be facing the airport, not 95.
Right. That's why I asked if it's facing.
It says on the south side, right? It says on the south side.
Yeah, it's on that's what the client told us when we were.
South side, so it would face northbound traffic.
So to be seen.
The plan
Right,
shows-
that's what I'm thinking, it's not gonna be seen, right? Okay.
Yeah. Better. Far back. Okay. questions from the board or motion?
I motion that case B 2024-005 approved for large, request for larger sign.
I second it.
A motion and second. Could we have a roll, please?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Barhu?
Yes.
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Chairman Betts?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our final case, case C, on North Atlantic Avenue.
BOA 2024-007, variance from Article 6, Section 62H1 of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code. A request by Erica Hughes of VHB on behalf of Westgate DB Oceanfront Resort for a variance from the Article 6, Section 62H1 of the City of Daytona Beach Land Development Code to reduce parking space dimensions from 9 by 21.25 to 9 by 14 for 60 degrees north parking spaces along A1A, to reduce parking space dimensions from 9 by 17.5 to 9 by 14 for 30-degree parking spaces in the drop-off area, and to reduce parking space dimensions from 9 by 21.25 to 9 by 16 in the seawall washout repair area. This will allow parking space size reductions as part of site plan DEV 2023-249 Westgate DB Resort renovation. Property is located at 1260 North Atlantic Avenue, parcel ID 423621000001.
Thank you. Is there a representative here today?
Hi, good evening, or good afternoon, almost evening. Erica Hughes with VHB, 225 East Robinson, Orlando, Florida, 32801. I want to thank Missy for getting us scheduled for today. The clerk addressed or provided the information on the request. We are in process of a site plan application for the redevelopment of the hotel. And part of the review, we've received comments to increase the landscaping along A1A because since the hotel was originally developed, the code has increased and beautification along A1A is important. The site is constrained as far as the size and it's not getting any bigger. So in order to accommodate the additional landscape buffer along A1A, we needed to pinch point some parking spaces within the site so that we can also keep the greatest amount of spaces for the guests as well. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
The lot just north of the structure itself.
Yes.
Is that part of your property?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. We use it like as existing off-site like parking lot. Right. And so.
Actually, that was part of your structure, not next door. So you'll have plenty of parking for the.
Right. Once it's all
guests
said
and
and
stuff.
yes.
The lots that you're proposing are fairly small. You can have small property, you can have plenty of other park.
Yeah, so the plan, site plan shows where those arrows are, like on the west side. That's all parking, it's just the lines aren't showing, so those are just standard parking spaces. We're only requesting the variance in the certain areas where it gets a little tight.
These highlighted areas.
Correct, correct.
Are you going to signage these for compact cars only?
Correct.
I think we keep going. Cars get larger than smaller. Go along another way.
That's true.
The question I had, and basically it's just a site planning thing, that it looks and appears that the rest of your parking lot has angled parking in particular directions, yet you have two-way 20-foot aisles on some of it. Just a suggestion, maybe your site planners can look at one-way directions on the angled parking.
Okay.
And that might even relieve some of the length of the width of the parking spaces, reduce the variance somewhat, but I mean, you only have small areas that you're asking for variance. But just elevation. There's only 2 aisles that are like that, or 3. You may not be able to save much. Yeah, it's here, but I'm talking about back here. That, in the middle.
Yep.
And that was the only thing. You would probably still need a variance, but it does help direct people towards the correct way out of parking.
I had another question. I heard you say, but kind of flew in one ear and out the other. Are the city beachfront beautification group making these recommendations?
Well, I don't know if it's a certain group, but the staff who's currently reviewing the development plan application, that was part of our review comments, was to increase the landscaping on A1A to meet current code.
So we don't know if our beachfront group has commented on this or not?
Correct. I don't know if it's that group or if it's just the planners considering.
Okay, very good.
What's the order? Is it the roadway, landscaping, sidewalk, or is it,
Sidewalk is always in
right
city right of way.
Okay, so the roadway, sidewalk.
Landscaping.
There's usually, depending on what the ADA requirements are, there's usually green space required between the sidewalk and the road. Like any new,
Landscaping between the roadway and the.
not landscaping, but grass.
Like sod.
Like they can't put a sidewalk directly adjacent to the road. There has to be some separation, and it's usually just grass.
No other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve BOA 2024-007 case as submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't ask for comments from the audience. I knew it.
That's all right, I got you.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Yeah,
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Barhu?
Yes.
Chairman Betts?
yes.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Welcome.
Ms. Griffith, we have a review of the cases, please.
Case A was approved 4-0, case B was approved 4-0, and case C was approved 4-0.
Melissa,
Either one.
any new business?
I have no new business.
I have a question. We had somebody that was interested in being on the board, if I remember correctly. And that hasn't gone anywhere?
I have not heard any more about it. It's up to the zone commissioner to bring that person forward to the board. I don't, for whatever reason, we didn't hear anything back on it, so I don't. Maybe they may have gone to another board, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
And Melissa, did you get my training?
I saw your email. I didn't
Okay,
open it
perfect.
yet.
Okay,
I did,
through.
and I got Mr. Connors and Mr. George's
Okay.
affidavits today, so.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll do next. I guess I could have done it. I was,
Is everybody coming to the reception tonight?
I will be there.
Yes?
I'm not, no.
Okay. It'll be just us three.
So nice of you all. We appreciate it.
We appreciate what you do for us.
All right, thank you all.
We appreciate you guys taking your time.
Mhm.
motion to adjourn.
So we can go get ready?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second, all in favor?
Thank you, everyone.